Can you hear it? Let's take a look. See what it looks like. Look at that. Alright, we're preheating. So right now it's 100 degrees. And it's also 100 degrees. Alright, so this is the Gourmia French door extra large digital air fryer oven. It's currently $149. It was actually on sale for $119 earlier in the week, so maybe it'll go back on sale. But right now, that's the price. So let's get one and check it out. Hello, welcome to Random Things. This is Ty, and for this video, I want to walk through my new Gourmia air fryer, which is an extra large French door air fryer that I picked up at Costco. At the time when I bought it, it was actually on sale, but right now the price is $149, as you saw kind of in the intro video. So for this video, I kind of want to show you what it all comes with, some basic functions, as well as do a test cook, which you kind of saw in the intro. I want to show you how well it modulates temperature, or at least show you if there's a temperature difference within different parts of the oven, and kind of show you the end result quality of the product that you may be cooking in here. And in this particular case, it's a Beef Wellington. And so we're going to run through all that. And if you stick around to the end, I'll actually have a bonus feature where I actually show you how I actually go through and make my Beef Wellington that you saw in the intro video. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so out of the box, you will get the actual air fryer, and then you'll also get this package, which is it is actually the crumb pan, the air fry basket, a cooking pan, and then a shelf that you put in here, as well as kind of a quick starter guide to kind of talk to you about, first you turn on the power, right? And then you select the air fry mode. So for example, let's say you want to cook bacon, right? And so it has a bunch of presets. And so for bacon, it is 400 degrees for 10 minutes. Now, if you want to change the temperature, you just kind of increase the temperature button here. If you want to increase the time, you can add more time or make it less. And so once you do that, if you went ahead and hit start, it will actually preheat the oven, get a temperature, and once it gets to temperature, it will actually say add food, and then you can put your food in there. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. You hit it, it's paused, and you hit it again, it will stop it. And this is the word that you'll see when you actually finish cooking as well. And so part of the handy guide, it has all the presets for the fries, the wings, the bacon, the snacks, vegetables, seafood. So these are the quick cook for the air fryer. And then it tells you what the default temperature is, and the default time, based on the size or portion that you're trying to cook. And then it does tell you what accessory to use, whether it's a frying rack or a pan. Say, for example, if you're cooking chicken wings, right, you just use the pan and not the air frying rack, right? And it also tells you the rack position. So in here, there are different shelf levels, right? And so this one's number 6, and this one's number 1. So there's 6 shelving levels. It will tell you to put the rack in level 4 or level 3, which will be kind of optimal for whatever you're cooking according to their guide and their, their test kitchen. And so I thought that's pretty handy that it actually kind of tells you where to put it, because it does make a difference, because you have a heating element on top and bottom, and then you have a fan that convects the heat all the way around. So this is just kind of like a really powerful convection oven, right? And so let's go ahead and put the crumb tray in and the shelf in, and then we can see what that looks like. Okay, so first let's put in the crumb tray. So it's just an aluminum pan. I wish it's pretty tight in here, so I wish there was room for me to put a foil to make my cleanup a little easier, but it's pretty tight, so if you try to put a piece of foil, it could affect these heating elements. So I'm just going to put it in without the foil paper, and then we'll have to pull it out periodically to actually clean it. Now there's different types of racks that you can put in, so this is just kind of a shelf, right? And then this then allows me then to put in, say, my own baking pan, which I'm going to try to make some cookies in the bake mode with it. So then you can just put it there, right? Or you can actually insert like the air frying basket, right? Or just simply, if you want to use the pan that it comes with, you can do that too. So I actually like to use the shelf and then kind of use my own pan, which is a lot easier for me to like pull the cookies out when I'm done, and rather than having to deal with this pan. I do want to go through some of the other settings. So again, hit the power, turn it on, right? And there's actually a bunch of preset stuff like toast or just bake, roast, bagel. These are different types: reheat, keep warm, popcorn, slow cook, and dehydrate. So it does come with a cookbook, actually, so that it can actually tell you how to use these features more if you're into that. But for the most part, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to use toast a lot to toast my my Costco croissants, and then probably do some convection bake or regular bake, right? I'm actually going to try to do a test with the cooking pan, and we're going to try to cook some cookies, right? So we're going to go with convection bake. We can change the temperature by adjusting temperature and time, and then we're going to bake those cookies according to the cooking instructions. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to put a couple of oven thermometers in there to see how accurate the air fryer is, or at least in bake mode, how close the actual oven thermometers are with the actual settings. And I'm going to have two because I like to see what is the temperature variations on one side of the toast of the air fryer versus the other side, see if it's pretty consistent. So let's go ahead and give that a shot and see how that looks. Ooh, we're going to make some white chocolate macadamia nut cookies. So according to the instructions, it says preheat oven to 350 and bake for 11 to 12 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and hit the bake. Well, I guess turn it on. Bake. Change it to 350. And we're going to lower that time to 11 minutes. Alright, and then you just go ahead and hit start. So now it's preheating. So I'm going to go ahead and set these thermometers in there. And I'm going to put one, maybe one in the front over here. And I'm going to put one in the back corner. And then we'll set the tray in there when that time comes. And see if, when it says it's ready for me to put the cookie in there. And we'll see how even the heating is. So right now, both are going up. So it's telling me to add the food, but it's only 300 in the front, and it is about 350 in the back. So I'm going to go ahead and add the cookie and see if it cooks evenly. Okay, so let's see, I just put the cookies in there. The front is still saying about 300. And the back is a little higher than 350. So there is a little bit of a difference between the front and back. So we'll let it cook and see what happens. Now this is in bake mode, so there's no fan circulating the air, and that could, make a difference. And so when we do the air fryer, that will be a fan, and we'll do the same test with the air fryer and see how that looks. But right now, it's got about a 40-degree differential between the far corner and the front, and the cookies, still okay. Alright, we're coming up almost on 11 minutes, so still got a temperature differential of about 40 degrees, but the cookies are okay. They're not burnt on one side and uncooked on the other side, so that's a good sign. That middle one seems to be a little larger, so maybe we want to cook that a little longer, so maybe we'll add another minute to the time so that we can get to golden brown. So just hit the time, and I'll add a minute there. 3, 2, 1. That's what it's like. Time's up. Okay, let's take a look at the cookies. We'll let it rest a couple minutes. We'll take it out and let it rest. So I moved the oven thermometers to kind of the middle, and they're side-by-side comparison, and the temperatures are pretty close, maybe off by a couple degrees. And so even though we saw a difference in temperature when we had this thermometer in the back corner and this thermometer in the front corner here, on side to side it seems pretty even. Now we're still in bake mode, so I'm going to go ahead and do Airfry mode and see how the temperature varies within the oven. So now I have this in Airfry mode at 425, and it's pretty close to 425 in the front, but it's actually a little higher than 425 in the back. So we still are seeing that difference in temperature between the back corner and the front. So I'm going to move it to the middle and see if it levels out. Okay, so I moved the thermometer to the middle of the oven, and they're both pretty even at a little above 450, but it's higher than the set point. So that is good to know as well. So as you can see from the thermometer test, the oven seems to have a difference in temperature when you measure it from back to front. But when you measure it horizontally, it seems to be fairly consistent this way. Okay, so what that really means is that the back end of whatever you're cooking is going to be a little warmer than the front towards the door, which is pretty typical. And so partway through your cook, if you really need it to be kind of level and even, you do need to flip it around. And so I was trying to make a Beef Wellington and kind of show you that. Unfortunately, when I was making the Beef Wellington, it happened to be my Thanksgiving event, and people came over and it got a little nuts, and I couldn't get the camera set up to actually film the actual cook. I was only able to take a video of the final product, which I kind of showed you in the intro video. The oven was big enough to handle that 3-pound of tenderloin. So it was a pretty big piece of Beef Wellington. And the oven cooked it, and it cooked it fairly evenly. But again, that's because it's not very deep. It's just long. So the temperature is pretty even this way, right? It's not that even this way. But all in all, I think the actual oven is a really good piece of appliance to have. The other thing I want to mention is this is actually my second unit. And what happened was when I bought the first unit from Costco, the top LED horizontal piece was going in and out, was flickering. So something was wrong with the LED. So normally I would just return it to Costco and get another one. But unfortunately, Costco had sold out of the ovens. And so I could have returned it and got my money back, but it would have been the sale price. And then I could have bought another one, but I would have had to buy it at regular price. So with that issue, I decided to call the manufacturer And the manufacturer was actually very sympathetic and understood. I had to show him some pictures of what I was talking about, and I had to show him a copy of the receipt. I didn't have the original, so I just went to Costco and got a reprint. And I had to take a picture of the lot number that's on the box, but I told them I had already thrown away the box, so I just took a picture of the model serial number in the back of the unit. So with that, then they asked me to cut the cord, so destroy the unit essentially, and then I sent them a picture of that, and then they UPS'd another air fryer to me in 2 days. That is pretty fantastic customer service. So I am able to verify that the customer service with Gourmia is actually pretty darn good. So that really does go a long way with me, at least. And so, with that, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit the like and share button. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. That really helps. And as I mentioned in the beginning, I will go through the steps of showing you how I make the Beef Wellington, with the exception of actually rolling the puff pastry. I'll just have to actually explain it. And so if you stay tuned and keep watching, I'll go through the process of how I actually made my Beef Wellington. So with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next random video. Okay, so this is the duxelle. It's the mushroom concoction that sits between the Beef Wellington and the puff pastry. And so we've been on low heat trying to cook out all the water, because the water will make the puff pastry very soggy if you don't try to cook out as much of the water as you can. And you do want to season this very well. Now, one of the things I do to try to add more flavor is, and I got this hack from Food News, or Chef John on Food News, is on YouTube. And what he does is he uses a pate that he adds to the duxelle to give even more of a umami rich flavor. So this is a truffle mousse, which is pork, turkey, and chicken liver mousse that I'm going to add to the duxelle to kind of give it even more richness. So that is the kind of the secret ingredient for my Beef Wellington. Tells you how often I use this. Now you can smell that richness in the mousse. So we're just going to go ahead and mix it well with the duxelle. Alright, so this is the duxelle with the mousse all evenly incorporated. Let's go ahead and... Whew. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and I'm just going to use this mustard I have in my refrigerator. It's a spicy Dijon mustard. I'll just get it nice and coated. And you want to do this while the meat is hot. That way it actually absorbs, as it cools, it will absorb the mustard. At least that's what the food science says. Okay, in some of the videos that talk about making Beef Wellington, they use a crepe to kind of be the buffer layer between the puff pastry and the actual prosciutto, duxelle, and the meat itself. It's kind of like just an additional barrier to protect the liquid from ruining that puff pastry. But I don't know how to make crepe, and I'm too lazy to learn how to do that. So I just went and got this like Asian pancakes. It's like the onion pancakes without the onion. So I'm just going to use this in lieu of a crepe. So we'll kind of roll it out. I'll use the rolling pin to kind of spread it kind of thin, and then we'll lay out the prosciutto and the duxelle, and then finally we'll put the Beef Wellington, the beef itself, onto that, and then roll it. It's already pretty thin to begin with. Now comes the hard part. This is the part I always get real scared about, is the roll-in. Oh, that's a big boy. Okay, so we're not going to worry about that because we're going to set that on the bottom of the pastry when we get to that point tomorrow. So now we're just going to let this actually go back in its blanket and then back in the refrigerator for another refrigerator nap to help me keep the shape. So up to now, I have prepped the beef Wellington for the final step. So this is the night before. I prepped it, I put it back in the refrigerator so that it can be cold and it holds that shape. The next day, when I get ready to put the puff pastry on, unfortunately, it was the Thanksgiving celebration, so I couldn't get out the camera, so I didn't have time to set up the camera and show you how I did it up, that part. So I'm just going to describe it. So basically, I laid out a piece of parchment paper, and you know, you can use any kind of parchment paper. This is one I used. And then I got my puff pastry. I got my puff pastry from Sprouts. You can get it from any store. You can get it from Target. At Target, I think it's about $8 or something like that for a box, and it comes in 2 sheets. But the sheets comes in a kind of a tri-folded rectangle, and then you have to unfold it. The problem is you do not want to unfold it while it's still frozen, because what it will do is it will crack. So you have to wait till it thawed out. For me, it was about an hour. Temperature here is around 70 degrees in the house. And what I like to do is I just set the puff pastry, because it comes in this paper, on the box. And then when the puff pastry starts to go limp, that's when I know it's soft enough for me to unfold. You don't want it to be completely thawed out, because if you completely thaw it out and then try to unfold it, it's kind of a really soft, doughy mess. It's like trying to move pizza dough, right? So you want it still kind of frozen, but soft enough where it doesn't crumble on you. And then once you unfold it, put it on a piece of parchment paper, like I said. And what I did was I used my roller and I kind of stretched it out a little bit, because I was a little greedy and my Beef Wellington was about 12 inches. And that's a little long, considering that the puff pastry is only like 12 inches, 10 inches, right? And then when you kind of roll it out, it's like maybe 12 inches. So it wasn't enough to kind of wrap around the ends. And so what I had to do was, it comes with 2 pieces, right? So once I got one laid out, I realized it wasn't big enough. So then I laid out a second piece. And I kind of joined it with a little bit of egg wash. You're going to have to make egg wash anyway, because you're going to have to brush the top of it. That's what gives it that golden brown color. And the egg wash is just 2 egg yolks and a little bit of water, a tablespoon of water. Beat that up, and I used the egg wash to glue it. So then I had a second piece where I rolled it out, and then I seamed it. I glued another piece to it so that it's wide enough for my Beef Wellington. Now, I don't actually suggest that. I'd suggest that you actually make it not so long. You know, this is actually my second Beef Wellington, and I got a little greedy because I wanted to make a big piece for a big gathering. And so I didn't realize this problem until I was like, oh, it's not long enough, not wide enough. So I had to add some width to it. But I would suggest that you think about that when you're doing the cook, because you're going to have to adjust. And with these type of puff pastry that you buy, and maybe you know how to make your own puff pastry, but with these type of puff pastry, you're limited to its width. Even if you try to roll it out, it's not going to give you that much more width. And so the other thing I did, though, is if you look at the Beef Wellington, it has those little strips on top. And all it is the extra puff pastry. I just cut little half-inch strips, and I laid it on top. And what I did was I used one of those strips and I laid it over the seam. So it's kind of like a molding, right? You put around door jambs and that stuff to hide that joint, right? So it makes it look pretty. So I hid the joint by using a strip. And then those are the strips that I laid on top for decorative purposes. And then you do want to do an egg wash on top. So you do actually an egg wash over the top of it, and then you put the strips. Just be careful that when you do the strips that you don't, you have to do the egg wash again, but don't go crazy, because you don't want the egg wash to kind of get gooed up on the strip, where the strip meets the main Wellington roll, right? And so that second egg wash on top is a little bit lighter. And then I just put it in the air fryer at 400 degrees. And then I set it there for 25 minutes. In this particular case, it is ideal somewhere halfway through, you do want to rotate it. Even though we just showed that horizontally across the air fryer, it's relatively the same temperature, there's a little bit of difference this way. So if you just flip it, it couldn't hurt, right? It just takes a little bit of time. You just do it fast, and it's not going to let a lot of heat get out and so on. So I do suggest that. And then at the end, this is the result. Let's take a look. Let's see what it looks like. Look at that. Okay, so with that, I hope you found the video helpful, both for describing, explaining, and showing you the features of the Gourmia extra large air fryer, as well as how I made my Beef Wellington. So if you found this video helpful, please hit the like and share button. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. That will really help me out. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next random video.